This is FNGR, and today we talk about the episode that quite literally killed Brony Curious. Stay tuned, you may find out why later, on his channel if you're super duper lucky. This isn't just a bad episode. This isn't just the worst episode of Season 5. This is the shittiest episode in the whole damn show. Its mediocrity almost made me quit being a brony. Now hold up, let me explain. I happen to adore the CMC. Hell, my threshold for these three is significantly higher than most. My first episode of the show that made me a brony, from a reluctant hater, was Stairmaster.
Hammer! 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 Hammer!
On how over-the-top goofy Apple Bloom, Sweetie Belle, and Scootaloo was. This episode, for me, sorta suffers from the issues of Castlemania. Placement in the season. Castlemania, for all intensive purposes, ended up being a complete filler that never amounted to anything after the amazing premiere, and offered a very dry, stale format done virtually better in every other cartoon out there. Appleoosa's Most Wanted is the 6th episode of the 5th season, and ends up being a CMC episode almost stacked on top of Bloom and Gloom. There's so many main characters who haven't had a main character focus so far in this season. There's no Pinky episode, or Rarity, or Flutters, or Applejack, who ends up in the background again. Even when she's the only main character in the episode. Now, while I wasn't the biggest fan of Tanks for the Memories, I think I understand that may have just been me. The CMC gets this episode's focus, and quite frankly, there's literally no distinction between any of them. Name me one moment where any of the CMC have a distinct moment to their specific personality. There's a good 22 minutes with them in the spotlight, and it just doesn't happen. Any of the lines could be mixed and matched to any of the other ones in the story would be exactly the same. Now see this.
Big presence at this here rodeo, so make yourself plenty seen. I want that low-down varmint to know we mean business.
This is just a suggestion and a nutty one to boot. The sheriff could have been used as a scheming villain talking down the other rodeos, framing troubleshoes, making Appaloosa's rodeo the best thing without competition. Considering who the writer is, Dave Polsky, this would have been within his tool set. Polsky is one of the more bold and creative writers on the show. I really expected this sort of behavior out of Josh Hayburn. In fact, after seeing Bloom and Gloom, I kinda wonder if they switched up the names in the credits. I mean, this even seems like foreshadowing, with the extra pan-in on the sheriff. There's really nothing bold or groundbreaking in this episode. That's the real failure. Whether or not you like Tanks for the Memories, it presumably attempts to tackle the subject of death. It's a bold move. What's this about?
We'll double the patrols. This rodeo will go on.
I mean, again, does anyone else see that the build that they could have done with the sheriff cleverly manipulating the entire town? This could have been another map episode, with Applejack and the CMC exposing another whacked-out society, like the season premiere in Communism.
This is totally a cult.
Yeah, says the guy who thinks KP is the third best analyst in the community. You sure that's a glass of water and not vodka, pal? Appaloosa hasn't exactly been the best place of memories in MLP in the past, at least for fans. I guess that tradition takes precedent. Had this episode just been simply boring, that would have been one thing, but it literally fucks up the continuity. Troubleshoes gets his cutie mark without understanding his special talent. Now trust me, there is a wiser guy out there who has a much longer and amazing explanation on just how retarded and autistic this really is. If you're curious about that, maybe even a little brony curious, it might be your last chance. I'll leave a link at the top of the description so you can go request the release of that video. Make sure to be supportive. I don't need to tell you that the CMC wandering off on their own is stupid and revisiting some pony to watch over me, which apparently Apple Bloom learned nothing from. Yes, I know that wasn't the lesson. The lesson being if you want attention, you should put yourself in danger till your family listens to you. But hey, I'm not the only one offended by this moral. Let's take a listen.
But what I cannot and will not forgive is giving a destructive message to kids, especially ones considering family.
I couldn't agree more. Now, I did laugh at the hay bale clip. I guess the whole rodeo clown scene was funny, and stop screaming at me. If I did a grading of 1 to 10, this would be a 1. I'm always going to remember this episode as the one that retired one of the founding members of the community. Go fuck yourself, Dave. I'm not being a sheep, because I've not even seen Tom's video. So till next time, don't ask why a plague spreads or a field burns, all for no good reason.